The stars blazed under the weight of unending war. For 2 millennia, 3 vast alien empires had torn the galaxy apart in a conflict that devoured whole star systems and extinguished billions of lives. Each passing day unleashed fresh battles, new ruin, and deeper hatred between foes who no longer remembered why they first drew arms against one another. In the frozen reaches above the shattered husk of what had once thrived as a living world, colossal warships exchanged relentless fire. The Keltheran Empire's dreadnoughts drifted like armored citadels. Their shadowed hulls bristled with batteries capable of splitting moons apart. Forged for a single purpose, delivering crushing force against any challenger, these behemoths carried crews bred solely for war. They were engineered soldiers, born without fear, who regarded death in battle as the highest honor their species could claim. Admiral Vextool stood upon the bridge of his flagship, watching another enemy craft erupt into flame across the void. His 4 eyes followed tactical displays that mapped hundreds of vessels locked in this newest clash. For 3 centuries, the Keltheran commander had waged this struggle, driving his people against their timeless adversaries with iron resolve. His scarred visage betrayed no emotion as explosions carved light into the abyss. To him, it was merely another day in a war without end. Keltheran ships unleashed colossal plasma volleys in flawless unison, streams of searing energy lancing toward their targets. Their armor, forged from metals found only within dying stars, endured almost any assault. Each dreadnought carried thousands of warriors prepared to storm enemy decks and fight hand-to-hand when required. For the Keltherans, only absolute conquest could forge lasting peace among the stars. Opposing them stood the biomechanical fleets of the Zephyrian Collective, vessels that seemed to have been grown rather than built. These eerie constructs could heal themselves mid-battle, living hulls sealing breaches and restoring ruined weapons. Unlike the Keltherans, who fought as individuals, every Zephyrian existed within a shared mind that spanned billions through quantum-linked neural webs. Commander Node Galara was at once a solitary presence and an extension of the whole. Through that consciousness, she directed fleets with flawless unity. The instant one vessel suffered damage, the knowledge spread instantly across the collective. To the Zephyrians, this conflict was not war, but a vital function, an act of order through the assimilation of all other life into their great unity. Their organic craft maneuvered like schools of fish through the void, weaving and turning as one. When Keltheran plasma burned into their hulls, their living armor warped and flowed to contain the force. Weapon ports blossomed open like buds in bloom, unleashing swarms of smaller craft that surged with insect-like precision. For millennia, the Zephyrians had sought to capture and absorb other species, convinced that only through a singular unity of thought could the galaxy find lasting peace. The third power in this endless struggle ruled space itself, the Vraxi Confederacy. They had mastered energies that allowed them to exist partly beyond normal reality. Their warships phased between dimensions, flickering in and out like ghosts amid battle. When they struck, their weapons came from impossible angles, bypassing both armor and shields to pierce their targets directly. High Archon Talvs directed the Vraxi fleets from a vessel that occupied 7 dimensions at once. To ordinary eyes, it appeared as a shifting lattice of light and shadow, painful to behold. Long ago, the Vraxi had abandoned physical form, evolving into beings of pure energy bound together by will. They viewed the conflict as a crucible, meant to separate the worthy from the frail, believing that only those who transcended physical bounds deserved to inherit the galaxy. Their energy lances phased through Keltheran plating as if it were vapor, while their dimensional shifting nullified the synchronized strikes of the Zephyrian swarms. Vraxi craft would erupt within enemy lines, release torrents of devastating energy, then vanish before a single retaliatory shot could land. They fought not for domination or assimilation, but for what they deemed enlightenment, purging the unworthy to uplift the cosmos. Over centuries, each empire perfected counters to its foes' strengths. Keltheran dreadnoughts, massive and shielded, endured Vraxi assaults while mounting weapons designed to track the darting bioships of the Zephyrians. The Zephyrian Collective, with its vast shared consciousness, predicted Keltherin maneuvers and adapted with fluid precision, while their regenerative vessels blunted the Vraxi's hit-and-run tactics. Yet the Vraxi slipped through both Keltherin armor and Zephyrian coordination, striking precisely where least expected. This equilibrium forged a deadlock, turning the war into an eternal stalemate. Across hundreds of star systems, battles raged without end. Entire worlds were burned barren by orbital bombardment. Civilizations that had once thrived among the stars now hid beneath the surface, praying the war would bypass them. Ancient trade lanes, once carrying knowledge and commerce, had become blood-soaked front lines, where the three powers clashed ceaselessly. In the galactic west, countless minor species looked on in despair. Hope for peace had long since died. Survival alone remained. Some fled to remote star clusters, others burrowed into the dark gaps between spiral arms where the great fleets seldom passed. The war had become a machine that consumed itself, growing ever stronger with time. Keltherin children were bred to despise their foes, raised to dream of dying gloriously in combat. Zephyrian nodes processed millions of strategies each moment, searching always for new paths to assimilation. Vraxi energy beings meditated on transcendence, shaping plans for the next stage of their vast purge. Yet none of the three empires still remembered why the conflict had begun. The first sparks had been smothered beneath 2,000 years of grudges, ruined worlds, and fallen champions. The war endured simply because it always had, because each side believed, beyond question, that their foes could never be trusted, never reasoned with, and could only be annihilated through total destruction. As the latest clash reached its height above the dead planet, thousands of vessels unleashed fire in a familiar storm of ruin. Keltherin dreadnoughts pressed forward in ordered lines, while Zephyrian bioships encircled them like hunting predators. Vraxi warcraft flickered in and out of dimensions, striking weak points before vanishing once more. The sequence was as repetitive as it was lethal, a cosmic ballet destined to claim countless lives yet alter nothing. Tomorrow would bring another, battle in another system, and the day after another, stretching into an infinite horizon of war without meaning or conclusion. The year 2387 marked humanity's boldest leap into the unknown. After decades struggling to break free of Earth's gravity, human scientists had finally unlocked the secret of faster-than-light travel. The discovery came from an unlikely mind, Lisa Chen, a young physicist immersed in quantum mechanics at the University of California. Her breakthrough jump drive folded space itself, letting ships cross the gulf between stars in hours instead of centuries. On the bridge of the USS Discovery, humanity's first deep space exploration ship, Captain Jake Morrison stood at the helm. Smaller than the massive freighters plying routes between Earth and Mars, the vessel embodied every dream humanity had nurtured. Morrison, a hardened career officer from the lunar conflicts, had volunteered for what many deemed the most perilous mission in human history. His lined features carried the determination born from years of preparation. The Discovery's crew of 35 represented Earth's finest. Chief Science Officer Lisa Chen insisted on joining despite safer offers, eager to see her theories tested in the starry void. Commander Ryan Blake, first officer, brought the sharp instincts of Earth's space navy. Weary of old disputes in the solar system and hoping exploration would chart a better future, Dr. Nathan Cross, a xenobiologist, had filled the ship's databases with the sum of human knowledge on life and evolution, dreaming of discovering alien forms beyond imagination. Communications officer Amy Torres, fluent in every human tongue, had designed entirely new protocols for contact with non-human intelligences, her bright optimism spreading hope that allies might await among the stars. Security Chief Danny Park led a Marine detachment charged with shielding the crew from hostile encounters. A veteran of the asteroid belt wars, he knew Discovery often carried hidden dangers. Dr. Helen Ross, the ship's medical officer, carried advanced treatments she hoped could work on alien biologies if they ever faced the wounded of another world. Their maiden jump targeted a system 12 light-years from Earth, chosen for its planets that long-range scans hinted could harbor life. At Morrison's command, the jump drive engaged, space warped like a mirrored labyrinth, then snapped back into place. The crew erupted in cheers, knowing they had traveled farther from Earth than any human before. Their triumph ended abruptly as sensors blazed with alarms. Surrounding them loomed enormous alien warships locked in a battle of terrifying scale. Explosions greater than nuclear firestorms erupted in the abyss as titanic vessels clashed. Cities clashed with weapons far beyond human comprehension. Morrison ordered all systems cut to minimal output as the Discovery drifted unseen through the chaos like a leaf tossed in a storm. The alien armadas were unlike anything humanity had imagined. Some were clearly forged for war, angular, bristling with weapons hurling torrents of energy across unimaginable distances. Others seemed alive, their organic forms pulsing with inner light, gliding through space with a natural elegance. The strangest of all flickered in and out of existence, striking their foes before fading like phantoms. Dr. Cross documented everything with trembling hands as weapons capable of erasing asteroids roared around them. The scale of destruction defied human experience. A single strike unleashed energy greater than Earth's entire nuclear stockpile. Yet the combat carried a sense of ritual, as if guided by rules established eons ago. Amy Torres strained to capture alien transmissions, her system struggling to interpret physics that humanity had barely begun to grasp. Through fragmented analysis, she pieced together glimpses of truth. 3 distinct factions warred with a hatred older than memory, each countering the other's moves with unnerving precision. The Discovery went unnoticed amid the slaughter, too small to trigger sensors calibrated for Leviathan warships. Morrison made the hard choice to observe rather than risk exposing themselves to forces that could erase them instantly. The crew watched with awe and dread as the galaxy revealed itself as a place where endless war defined existence. Amid the fighting, a crippled alien craft broke from the fray and limped toward a nearby moon. Its angular hull vented atmosphere, burning with wounds from battle. Morrison faced humanity's first true decision among the stars: aid a fallen warrior from an unknown species or remain silent and safe. Commander Blake urged caution. Humanity knew nothing of these powers or which posed the greatest threat. Dr. Ross countered that their duty as healers demanded aid to any life in peril. Lisa Chen warned that revealing themselves might draw the conflict to Earth long before it could defend itself. After heated debate, Morrison made the call that would alter everything. He ordered the Discovery to follow the wounded vessel. It crashed in a crater near the lunar equator, still glowing with residual heat. Security Chief Park led a suited team into the wreckage, finding the pilot alive but grievously injured. The being was bred for war. Thick, armored hide, 4 muscular arms ending in clawed hands, and a face of angular ridges crowned with 4 burning eyes. Yet despite its fearsome presence, it lay unconscious, bleeding a shimmering fluid like liquid starlight. Dr. Ross fought to stabilize the alien, improvising care for a physiology no human had ever seen. The basics of trauma medicine still held, and under her efforts the creature stirred. Its glowing eyes flickered open, fixing on its rescuers with bewilderment. A voice like grinding metal escaped its throat, translated into human speech by the ship's computer. It declared itself Warrior Prime Kexfall of the Keltheran Empire, unable to comprehend why enemies would save him. In Keltheran culture, fallen. Soldiers were abandoned to die with honor. Mercy was considered the gravest insult. As Dr. Ross persisted in her work, Kexfall began to speak of the war that had consumed his people since before human civilization. He told of ancient wounds and eternal foes, of battles waged across thousands of worlds for causes remembered only by the historians. The Keltheran warrior painted a vision of a galaxy where peace was seen as weakness, and victory meant nothing less than the utter destruction of one's foes. Through Kexfal's words, the humans began to grasp the enormity of what they had uncovered. This was not a border dispute between neighboring systems, but a galaxy-spanning war that had burned for millennia. 3 vast empires were locked in an endless cycle of annihilation, consuming all in their path, leaving no room for progress, discovery, or hope. The Discovery's crew realized they had stumbled upon something that would forever alter humanity's destiny. They had reached the galaxy they had long dreamed of exploring, only to find it trapped in chains of hatred and ruin that seemed unbreakable. As they prepared to return to Earth with their staggering revelation, none could imagine that humanity itself might one day hold the key to ending a conflict older than their species. The emergency session of the United Nations had stretched into its 3rd day without pause. President Caroline Walsh sat at the head of the great table, listening as delegates clashed in heated debate. The revelation of a galactic war had shattered humanity's hopes of peaceful expansion and forced them to face a reality they were utterly unprepared for. General Peter Hayes, chairman of the Joint Chiefs, pounded his fist as he argued for immediate isolation. A lifetime of preparing for earthbound threats had left him unready for alien powers capable of destroying entire worlds. To him, humanity's only option was to halt all interstellar efforts and build defenses around the solar system. Any contact with the warring empires, he insisted, would doom Earth. Secretary of State Andrew Chen opposed the hardline stance, pressing instead for observation and intelligence. A veteran diplomat, Chen had spent decades navigating hostile negotiations and believed that understanding the alien conflict was critical before any bold action. He urged the deployment of small, stealth-capable ships to monitor the war while preparing Earth for the unknown future. After weeks of contention, President Walsh delivered the decision that would chart humanity's path among the stars. She authorized the formation of a reconnaissance fleet under Admiral Lucy Kim, a brilliant strategist who had earned renown during the Mars Colony Rebellion. Kim would command a small force tasked with gathering intelligence while avoiding direct entanglement with the alien powers. From a secret base beyond Pluto, Admiral Kim assembled her fleet. Humanity's most advanced ships were being upgraded with technology gleaned from the Discovery mission. The refitted Discovery itself would serve as flagship, still under captain. Instead of the massive formation battles favored by the galactic empires, Rivera's ship employed hit-and-run strikes against supply chains and isolated stations. The Defiance would materialize without warning, cripple enemy logistics, and vanish before reinforcements arrived. These raids were so alien to traditional tactics that commanders often assumed they were the result of new weapons developed by their rivals. Aboard the Discovery, engineer Gary Foster worked tirelessly in the cramped lab, piecing together advances from seized alien technology. He combined Keltheran armor alloys, Zapirian bioregeneration, and Vraxi energy crafting into hybrid systems unlike anything the Empires possessed. These breakthroughs gave human vessels abilities that defied alien expectations. Meanwhile, Captain Bell's Phoenix undertook the riskiest missions, slipping near massive fleet engagements to intercept communications and unravel command hierarchies. Her team uncovered a startling fact. The 3 empires used entirely incompatible communication networks, making direct diplomacy nearly impossible. They literally could not converse without intermediaries, explaining why peace had never taken root. Diplomat Ellen Murphy joined the fleet aboard the Discovery, carrying years of experience with hostile negotiations. Her initial attempts at contact stunned the aliens, who could not fathom why humans wished to engage all 3 sides simultaneously. To them, such conduct violated the very essence of warfare. Through patient dialogue, Murphy secured short-lived truces with local commanders across each empire. These narrow agreements granted human ships temporary safe corridors, sparing them from automatic assault. The concessions were born partly from alien curiosity at a species that defied every known rule of galactic conflict. Dr. Angela Martinez, the fleet's military psychologist, studied the Empire's behavior and uncovered a grim truth. Their war persisted not from hope of victory, but from an inability to admit that millennia of sacrifice had achieved nothing. Stopping would mean acknowledging the futility of their existence. Alien commanders soon realized human presence destabilized their battles. Admiral Vexthal observed mounting tactical anomalies. Strategies that had worked flawlessly for centuries suddenly faltered when humans were involved. Commander Node Kilnara of the Zepyrian Collective faced the same. Their hive mind, reliant on predicting patterns, collapsed into error cascades when exposed to humanity's unpredictability. High Archon Talvis of the Vry found humans unsettling for another reason. They acted outside the framework of survival. "And let's be clear," Kim said, her voice sharp but steady. "We forced the three greatest powers in the galaxy to cooperate. That is both our greatest achievement and our greatest danger. They fear us not because of our weapons, but because of our ideas. We've shown them that war isn't inevitable. That thought alone is enough to make them unite against us." Captain Rivera leaned forward, fists clenched. "So what's the plan, Admiral? We can't outfight them, not if they've actually joined forces. A single fleet action could wipe out humanity's entire navy." Dr. Martinez spoke before Kim could answer. "We don't have to outfight them." "That's what they expect. They're trying to fit us into the only framework they understand, another enemy to be destroyed. We have to stay outside that framework. We need to keep being unpredictable." Captain Morrison nodded slowly. "Unpredictable doesn't mean reckless. We've made allies before without even realizing it. Those rescued prisoners we returned? Some of them might remember. Some of them might help us." Karen White, the cultural analyst, added, "The fractures we've seen inside their societies, those doubts, those heresies, they're seeds. Seeds they've suppressed for centuries. But seeds grow when they see light. That's what we are. Not conquerors, not peacekeepers. A mirror showing them what they've lost." Silence hung in the room as each officer considered the enormity of their task. They weren't just fighting for Earth anymore. They were fighting for the very possibility that the galaxy could be something other than an endless war. Finally, Admiral Kim spoke again, her voice softer but unyielding. "Then that's our path. We'll survive not by matching their strength, but by breaking their certainty. Every time they think they know us, we'll surprise them. Every time they prepare for war, we'll offer peace. And when they try to unite against us, we'll remind them of every fracture they've buried. Humanity will be the galaxy's disruption, the anomaly that cannot be erased." The captains exchanged glances, each one understanding that history had cornered them into a role no one on Earth had ever asked for. Humanity had entered the galaxy looking for discovery and found destiny instead. And as the fleets of three empires began to converge, preparing to erase this new anomaly from existence, the small, fragile coalition of human ships prepared to prove that unpredictability was the most dangerous weapon of all.